Welcome to the Nexus channel. Today, we're going to tell you the story of one of the most famous and influential video games of all time. Tetris. This simple yet incredibly addictive game became a global phenomenon and changed the history of video games. But how did Tetris come to be, and how is its story connected to programming? Let's find out. The year is 1984, and the Soviet Union is at the peak of its power. At that time, video games were still in their early stages of development. Alexey Pajitnov, then a young computer engineer at the Soviet Academy of Sciences in Moscow, had an idea to create a simple game to test the capabilities of a new computer system called the Electronica 60. He found inspiration in the popular game Pentamino, which involves arranging different shapes made of 5 squares. However, to simplify the game and adapt it to the computers of that time, Alexey decided to use shapes made of 4 squares, what would later become known as tetraminos. Pajitnov wrote the first version of Tetris, using the assembly programming language. The game was simple. Random shapes made of 4 squares would fall from the top, and players had to rotate and arrange them to form complete lines. When a line was filled, it would disappear, and the player would score points. Although simple, this game mechanic was incredibly challenging and addictive. Players would strive to achieve the highest score possible before the screen filled up with blocks and the game ended. The original version of Tetris had no graphics or colors. It was a simple black and white text-based game with letters and symbols representing the blocks. But that didn't stop the game from becoming a hit among Pajitnov's colleagues at the Soviet Academy of Sciences. The game quickly spread from computer to computer in Moscow and then throughout the Soviet Union. No one could predict how quickly Tetris would conquer the world. A key moment in the spread of Tetris came when the game crossed Soviet borders and reached the West. In the late 1980s, various companies fought for the rights to the game, leading to legal battles and conflicts between several major players in the industry, including Nintendo, Atari, and others. Tetris became a global phenomenon when it was released for the Nintendo Game Boy in 1989. The game was easy to understand but difficult to master, making it beloved by everyone, from children to adults. Tetris was a key game that helped the Game Boy become one of the best-selling consoles of all time. From a technical standpoint, Tetris was simple but ingenious in its design. Alexey Pajitnov used algorithms to generate random tetraminos and then implemented simple logic for collision detection and clearing filled lines. The biggest challenge was optimizing the game to run on different platforms with limited hardware resources. Yet this simplicity allowed the game to adapt to almost any system and be playable even on the weakest computers of that time. Beyond becoming a symbol of the early days of video games, Tetris also influenced how games were designed. The game showed that simple mechanics, when applied correctly, could create a timeless experience that transcends generations. Tetris remains relevant today, with countless versions of the game, from classic arcade machines to modern smartphones. Although Alexey Pajitnov created one of the world's most famous games, he did not immediately profit from its success. Due to copyright laws in the Soviet Union, Pajitnov couldn't earn money from the game right away. It wasn't until 1996, when he moved to the United States, that Alexey founded the Tetris Company, and finally started earning revenue from his creation. Today, Tetris is much more than just a game, it's a cultural phenomenon. The game has inspired countless clones, parodies, and different versions, but the original remains unmatched in its simplicity and complexity. Its universal appeal continues to make it one of the most played games of all time. If you want to learn more about fascinating stories from the world of programming and video games, don't forget to subscribe to the Nexus channel and turn on notifications. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.